Or another activity could be to display our settings. This always gets complicated because we have, for the people who have more experience, we have fragments, which is basically a way to englobe different functionality within one activity, but that's like next step. We can, well, when we are creating an application, we have working sets. That's something really useful. If you see here on the link, I have different working sets, one for Android NDK, one for Android projects, another one for BlackBerry, another one for demos, whatever. In this screen, we can set up a default launcher icon for our application. This is obviously one with we are using by default from Android. We will probably want to create our own one. And if we choose to create an activity, we have different options to create one. We can create one completely blank. That means just a basic layout with no content inside. A full screen one, basically we remove our action bar, is this thing we have above the application that allows us to move through the different options of the app. Or master detailed flow, that has something to see with the fragments. If you can see, here we have on the left side one list where we can typically display some options. And on the right side, we will typically paint the content we have selected on the left side. This has a lot to see with tablets. So basically the idea is, among other things, we develop an applications that we can use universally on Android devices, not only for phones, not only for tablets. I have already one project here created. That's because I'm a little bit tricky, and I have prepared some classes that I'm going to use through today. This is how a standard application looks when it has been created. We have a source package. Here we will store the code we are programming for the application. We have a folder called gen from generated, and basically here we are generating some files automatically that we will use to access the resources. For example, if we have let's see some images which represent the icons or colors or whatever, we access them through a file called air.java. That's pretty important on Android development, that creates a connection between the code and the resources to break the model view pattern. We also have, since ADP 17, I would say, this file called build.config, which allows us to create two configurations. If we are developing an application, we sometimes want to have a debug mode or a production mode. That means when we are testing the application, we probably don't want to attack our database on a production mode. So from here, we can control which kind of environment are we using. We also have some more stuff. Those folders just include the jar files I'm using. In this case, Android.jar is entire API from Android, and the support library. That's the library we are mainly using for, well, you're probably familiar with the fragmentation problem. Somebody knows about it? Or
Yes.
can explain in 10 seconds? Fragmentation.
Lots of versions, lots of devices.
Exactly. So we have a lot of devices still on 2 point something. Obviously in 2 point whatever, we support different things as we support in 3.0 or 4.0. The last version is 4.3, Jelly Bean. And well, as a curiosity, we have more devices with Android 2.2 as devices with Windows Phone. So the problem here takes a huge dimension if you're used to program with iPhone, because iPhone is pretty much, okay, I program a universal app, which is going to run on all the devices. In Android, we will face a lot of problems. Yeah, so that's one of the reasons why we will use this Android support library. We have Android dependencies. If we, as if any Android project, if we are including, or any Java project, if we are including libraries we want to use that include different functionality, the libraries will be added here. And yeah, we'll have some folders here are empty assets. Is when I want to include some artistic resources. For example, I can include them here. Bin, that's pretty much a temporary folder that is rewritten every time I'm compiling the application and creating the executable files. Libs, where I include all the jar source files. And res, which stands for resources. Here I can see all the drawable, which are pretty much images. Also layouts, which are pretty much the files where I will write the appearance of my activities of my applications. Android, if you don't have experience, follows the well, or at least the separations attends to the model view controller. The idea is that we should have the representation of the files on an XML file and all the behavior and all the models on Java files, programming them by using our code. Some of these files are automatically generated when we create an application. For example, strings serves to create a multi-language application. We can see we have these values here. We have a string token called appname, and here we have a representation of this string. How this works, just very fast. If, for example, I would like, I want to create, I want to internationalize this application for German, I would create a folder name called value-de, which obviously stands for Deutsch. And by copying here the file strings.xml, I could change here, for example, Ultracode Rechner. And when the device is, well, when I'm compiling the application, the device automatically will look for all the folders I have, and when it finds the folder that corresponds to the device language, it will get this string. Or that works also for menus, for dimensions, for any parameter I want to use on my application. If I cannot find one which corresponds to my language, I will go to the default one, which is just /values. So let's gonna start a little, the Androidmanifest, that's probably a little bit important. Okay, the Androidmanifest is like, we could say, the controller of the application. We have some shortcuts here to access from Eclipse. But yeah, I think it's much more clear if I just show it from the, yeah, from here. So we established some properties for the application that are going to be pretty useful, like the version code. That means it's a sequential number that specifies the code, the version of my application. When we upload one version to the market, this has to increase in at least one, so it can be 2, 3, whatever. And this one will be the version name that is going to be shown to our users when they download the application. It can also be alphabetical, like 1.0 alpha, release candidate, whatever. Those are the values we established before when we were creating the application. And here there are a few of them which will turn out to be relevant afterwards. So I'm going to remove this one, maybe. Or well, I will leave it here. When I create an activity, which is this concept or this view we saw before, it has to be declared here. If not, it will not be able to run on the device. So I'm having one error here. Okay. I'm gonna create an activity to begin with the application. Right now, I only have a few classes I have created before. Xml Parser. I don't know if you're familiar with XML language. You're here, I guess so. Since I didn't want it to create it live, this is pretty much a basic parser for Android that can get the XML from an address I'm specifying and can get some things like the DOM element. That means the top element of XML document, and I can get values for each of the nodes of the application. So first, with Control N, I can create, I can open this dialog to select what I want to create, and I'm going to select class, Java class. So it will be on this package. So I personally create always a new package to store all the activities. This is something personal, and I will call it main activity. That's always a personal decision of each of you. An activity has to stem from activity, which is one of the Android classes. And by clicking, you see that there is a error mark here. That means that I have to import the application. We can overview the mouse and then clicking here. But if you like short commands, by clicking Command O or Command Shift O, I think it was. Yeah, we automatically import the classes we are missing. That's pretty useful when we are like copy pasting from the internet and we need to import a lot of input reader, input string, whatever. Okay, so I have here the address. I'm gonna make a really short XML analyzer. Downloading from a web service, I will download some information about pizzas. I will paint them on a list view, and then I will show you how to paint access to the list view and attending to the events, etc. So the address is something like Android5.info. Okay. This is basically the XML document, including all this information. We have a root element called menu, and from this element there are hanging items. So each item has an ID, has a name, has a cost, the price of the margarita, which is very expensive for being euros, and a description of the pizza. So first, we need to read this document in order to import this in our application up here. So to do this, we are going to create first. We are going to create a constant, which is going to be the name of the URL. And we are also going to create a few more attributes. If you have any question at any time, or you want to ask why I'm doing whatever, you can just say it loud. So here I will store the item. What I'm doing is creating constants. So I could do this just hard coding on the code, but my intention is to access to all these elements to a constant. I'm going to write I have cost and I have description. Well, if you want to attend to more, I always like to give some information about how to refactor the applications by using shortcuts. So we can, for example, click, I think it was Command-Shift-R. No, that's to open a resort, to Command-Option-R. And as you can see now, this variable is highlighted. That means that I can modify it like writing, and it will be reflected on the entire code. For example, I could refactor entire classes, function names, and if they are using in different activities, I will change them very easily. And we said that's going to be a description. Okay, so we have a cost and we have a description, pretty cool. Okay, in order to make the application work, all the Android applications need to override a method from activity. Somebody that uses Android can say which one it is the most important? Okay. Yeah, exactly. We have from create here. This menu is very useful, by the way. If you go to refactor, override, implement methods, you can access to all the methods from the parent activity. You have as you can see, a lot of them. It's almost impossible to remember all of them or which attributes are they need or whatever. So this is always a really nice option. Android has a life cycle. That means that we will have these methods on create, on destroy, on play, on pass. If you want to have more information about this, I think it's easier from here. And this is something really important to control, because sometimes our application will be closing, another application will be popping up. We will be receiving a call, getting messages, and we need to control how this is going to work. So just when we start one activity, we will call the method onCreate, then onStart, onResume, and the activity will be running. So we will go through all those three methods. There is some more explanation of how they get destroyed, how they get paused, how they get stopped. When they're stopped, are they really destroyed, or the objects are in memory? This is also really important for performance. Okay, we have this method on create, and we are going to create an XML parser, the one we had before. If you want to access this autocomplete, it works with control and space. So exactly all the different possibilities I can access from my current code, and I will call it XML Parser, and I will call it to the constructor. By calling to the constructor, I make sure that the object will not be null, so I can access all its different properties. It's one of the main mistakes we are developing with Android. If we don't call the constructor, our object will be null and we will not be able to access all its methods. So we are gonna first get, let's see if we can get the XML from our object. Okay, I'm doing here again with Control plus space. I'm trying to get all the different methods from this object. I will get an XML from URL. That's a method that it's here in the file Xml Parser, but right now we don't really need to know how it works. And I'm gonna make a little experiment. With logd, I can paint off the logcat, which is one of the debugging tools for Android, if the content of a string is really useful when we wanna see what is happening. I copy here. First parameter is the title or the tag. Second parameter is the string we're gonna paint, and I'm gonna import log with the command I showed you before, and by executing. I will execute this as an Android application. Oh, it's probably gonna fail because I did an update on the Androidmanifest where I can find my activity. Does anybody has experience with Android emulators?
Yes.
Yeah, they are pretty. Yeah, failed. So I will try it again. It's not the most speedy thing, so you will probably want to use some real device or some other solutions like Genymotion, which are native developers for native emulators for Android. Okay. Yeah. Does anybody knows what's happening? This is the manifest, and this is my main activity.
You don't run threads in the main thread.
That could be one of the reasons, and the other one. Also that I'm not using the internet permission, and I'm trying to establish an internet connection. Android uses a really curious system. You will not have the same in iOS, which is it's basically a system that allows us to set up which permissions our applications is going to have. It tries to give some security to the Android Play Store. So you know there is no approbation process, so you could technically upload some malware or upload some program which is going to steal something from your phone. So by using this system, kind of we prevent, or at least we give the user the last responsibility. The user is the last barrier against malware. He always has to click on I accept this or not. So if I go to the manifest section permissions, I have a few of them. I can go to internet, Android permission internet, and I will be able to now to connect to the internet. So I will keep on being here. As Fernando said, I'm probably going to have the same exception again, but that's probably an advanced topic to explain. So. Yeah. Well, basically, Android doesn't allow me either to execute requests from the main thread, so I normally have to create different threads in order to create the application. I'm first going to write the entire code, and I will later include this within a different thread. Okay, I will store on the XML the string I'm going to get as a response from the web service, which will be pretty much this one from here, and then I need to parse it. So I don't know if any of you have experience with passing XML elements on Java? No? Well, if you have Android, it's pretty much the same. If you don't have experience with Android, Java is pretty much straightforward. Not exactly the same, so a few things are changing, but yeah, so it must be okay. So by calling this, I will access this basically is the intermediate object that allows me to access the XML elements. Then I could create a node list. I have here some of the code because I didn't remember this exactly. I'm going to import node list as well.
Get elements.
Sorry?
Get
elements. Yeah, there you go. Okay, then on node list, as you can imagine, is a list of elements. I will need to iterate through the entire unit, and I will get the elements one by one. So it has to be smaller, and I will increase the unit in 1. Okay, then what I want to do is creating a hash map, and I will be storing by units, by pairs, the ID with the representation, name with its representation, cost with its representation, and I will paint them later on a list. So for this case, the hash map has to be a hash map. Does anybody doesn't know what a hash map is? Okay. So I need to import hash map. Now it's imported, so I have created my hash map and initialized it. One of the tricks I also like a lot for Eclipse is in case you have, for example, you can have this pretty much moved with no kind of order. With Command A, you can select the entire class, and with Command E, you can order it. So that's also pretty nice when you're copy pasting an entire class from internet. Command Shift O again, so I will be able to import my elements. In this case, the class element is failing, and I have to import this one. If there is any problem, or we can, yeah.
Should the item instead of ID, the value of key item?
Here, you mean?
No, line 16.
It should be, yeah, you're right. It should be key item, and item should be here. Yeah. And I should have a KID included that. Yeah. That's what you mean, right? Yeah, you're right. Thank you. Okay, so I will import my element. And now with this element, I will be able to pretty much to access all the, for all the different items, I will be able to access all the different values that I will have inside. If you don't use this control space, as you can see, it's really very nice and very fast to complete the code. So it can probably mean a difference of half of the time that you spend working with the application. Okay, here you can probably imagine what I'm doing, and it's yeah. I'm gonna take each of those elements, and I'm gonna insert them within the key map. So one for the key name, one for the key cost, and another one for the key des. So now the hash map I should have all the different elements. And now I'm going to create an array list of hash maps. That means I'm going to get all those hash maps that I'm creating, and I will insert them within an array list. Yep.
First key items will be key ID at the bottom.
Time per year.
Yep.
Key ID and key
Exactly. Thank you. Okay, so my array list is going to be of the type hashmap string. Yeah. You always have a problem with all those things, forgetting one and putting one more. My array list, it will be a new array list. Basically, if you haven't dealt with array list, you can understand it as a list that has elements one above each other. There is no particular order for them. This is not completely true, but for what we are doing today, it's broad enough. So when we have finished with the hash map, we have to add it to the array list we have created before. And at this point, we should have the array list. That means our list of elements with hash maps. That means hash map that has a mapping of all the elements we have read from the XML. So now we want to add it to our list. So we will create, well, first one of the things is that there is one important function on Android which is send content view. Through this function we can call you see this err file. I told you before, this file is actually gonna act as a connection between my resources and my code. I will import com.enrique.ultramodcalculator, and what I'm gonna do here is access into this layout called main, which is basically the graphical representation of an activity. Here we see that we are gonna have a list view, and inside this list view we will be painting all the different elements. This is the way we have to access all the resources to our code. It could be air.layout.main whatever, air.string if we're gonna access a text string. And the way to install to instantiate the the list, or to add them content, is by creating a list adapter. There is a whole lesson we could learn on how to create customize simple adapters and some stuff, but I think this is a lot actually for today. Okay, I will explain this code now. I have a Spanish keyboard on a German physical one, so I don't always know where are the things. Okay. So this is the way I have to send content to my adapter. I'm forgetting something, I'm pretty sure. Now it should work. Cool. So basically, when I have my list, I will have to create an adapter. This adapter is an intermediate between my data and my visualization. And the way I have to create it is, well, I think from here it will be easier to see the data I'm sending now. Okay, I always have to send this. In Android means pretty much context. That means exactly the context, the scenario where we are dealing with our application. My array list. It's going to be the array list I have created before with all the content I have been adding inside. This is the layout I'm going to be using for each of those elements. As always, we have this, as before, we have this air element, layout, a list item, and if we open it, we can see that basically this specifies the description of how it's going to be one single row of the table. We will have a linear layout. Linear layout basically means that we are going to put all our elements on a linear order. We will have a text view, including which is going to be the name. Another one behind, which is going to be the description, and then another linear layout. There is an error here. Having two more ones, which are the cost. Well, the string text that says cost, and then the actual cost of the pizza. So we get, I think I'm missing a parenthesis, or
there's one too many, right?
Or there are too many.
You have for squares as a term.
Sorry?
New image and open
String. Yeah, this is how it should sort. Yeah.
No, you don't need it.
No, I don't need this one, I guess. And that's okay. Okay. So I have created my adapter. Well, one thing I haven't mentioned totally is that I will not have exactly an activity, but a list activity, which is a more specialized activity. I will have to set my list adapter, which is this intermediate between my content and my view. Okay, and pretty much I can see, well, it has taken a little bit more of, not yet, of half an hour, but here I have my single code to show my all the pizzas I'm reading for this web service. So I will compile. It's gonna get this same error I had before. Yeah, so, okay, how can I do this really fast? So any of you know how you can deal in Android with multi-threading and how you separate the different threads of execution on an application?
Create async tasks.
Exactly. You normally create an async task, or if you want to do it not dirty, you create your own class that is going to extend from a async task, and you will implement your own methods. But I don't think we have a lot of time to not do it very dirty. So I can create here my async task, which is going to be an async task. I'm going to import it. Yeah. And I need to override some methods. The main one is doing background. That means the operation we are going to perform on our new thread. But we can, if we go to this source, override implement methods, we see that we have a few more. As I said, this is really useful thing for coding very fast, because even if you're very experienced with Android, you will never remember exactly the type of all the attributes for all the different methods. And async task can give us an pre-execute, doing background on post-execute, pre and post-execute, execute before and after the execution of the main thread, and on progress update, which basically we will use while there is an update on our task, we will be able to paint on the screen. For example, we use that for when we have a progress bar, we want to paint the content, when we are downloading a file, when we are for example, playing music, whatever. So I'm gonna create this task and running. You normally run it with a start or execute. We are sending a parameter new. This is well, something that okay. Okay, we need to parameterize to specify which parameters that we're gonna send here. Okay, I'm missing something again. No. I think there was a way to send to create the syntax without parameters. Okay. So basically, this code creates an asyntax, do nothing in background, and afterward it executes the asyntax. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna copy this code here. It could be more beautiful, definitely. Like I could read the code first, and then I could, when I have read all the internet. I'm missing also here something. So I guess that's the so-called demo effect. Okay, I knew this could happen, so I prepared the application before. So I don't think I want to deal a lot of minutes with all this. Yeah, here it's working. So basically you can see that the code is pretty much the same. So I'm reading the value, and I'm connecting to the internet, and I'm painting the value. I'm gonna compile it from here. Yeah, when I compile on Android, depending on the configuration, but pretty much I will show a screen with all the different devices that where I can execute the application. Those are emulators, but they can also be physical devices if I connect them with my USB cable. So I'm selecting this one, and now switching to my emulator again. And here is finally working. So here you can see that we are reading all the data we got from the web services. We are also uploading some styles. On the XML, this is quite straightforward. If we move here to the list item by changing the color, size, this is, I don't know if you're used to HTML or CSS, that will be really very easy, I think. And from here we can also, when we click, we go to a different activity, and we saw the details of the pizza. We could, for example, if this were a real application, we could create a button to order the pizza from here, to save to favorite pizzas, whatever. So just has take a little bit more, but if you're not explaining, I truly believe you can do this within 15 or 20 minutes. And yeah, I wanted to explain the Android Studio, but I think we don't really have a lot of time now, so it will stop here. Never mind if, as I said, this is my contact information. If you want to contact me for anything, I also participate a lot if, in GDG Munich and GDG Barcelona in Spain. We make live hangouts where we explain those things with the participation of people, and actually I think they're really cool. Last one I did was about precisely about Android Studio, and we will hold one in 2 months in GDG Barcelona about how to integrate an Android application with Maven and automatic building systems and all this stuff. And last but not least, if any of you is an Android, Windows Phone, BlackBerry, iPhone developer and is looking for a new career, you can contact me after the talk and we can discuss about it, because I guess that happens a lot in München. At my company 6, we are all the time looking for talented developers. So thank you, and I hope you have enjoyed the talk.